until the mayor returns.
I'll second that motion.
Okay. So
All in favor?
all in favor?
Aye.
Little number. All right, thank you. We'd like to welcome you all here to our city council meeting for May the 16th. And we would like to excuse our mayor and Councilman Phillips tonight. Councilwoman Hartley will be arriving shortly. She's on the flight coming in on SkyWest, so she'll be here shortly to join us when she gets here. So we'll begin our meeting tonight by having our vicar at St. Jude's Episcopal offer us an invocation, and then Councilman Cousins will lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Let us pray. Most gracious and loving God, we give you thanks for this day, for this gathering, for the privilege of living in a democratic society. We ask that you would send down upon all of those who hold office on this council the spirit of wisdom and charity and justice, that with steadfast purpose they may faithfully serve in their offices to promote the well-being of all people. Through Jesus Christ our Lord. Amen.
Amen. Thank you.
You could stand and follow me in pledging allegiance to our flag. I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, our first item on the agenda this evening will be to approve our agenda. I'll entertain a motion.
move to approve the agenda as listed.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Next item, we'll move into the administrative agenda with mayor and council business. We like to begin with a proclamation to designate May 25th, 2018 as National Poppy Day. And Dennis Robinson and some of those individuals with the veterans are here. I'll begin by reading the proclamation, and then if they'd like to come up. It says, whereas poppies are worn and displayed as a symbolic tribute to our fallen, living, and future veterans and service members. And whereas at the end of World War I, the American Legion adopted the red poppy as a symbol of freedom, referring to the poppies that sprang up in the churned up earth of newly dug soldiers' graves over parts of Belgium and France. And whereas the Iron County Veterans Coalition has long utilized the red poppy as its official flower, symbolizing the bloodshed by those who have served in our U.S. military. And whereas it is fitting that as the American Legion approaches its 100th anniversary, they expand the meaning and symbolism of the poppy, mirroring the manner in which the poppy is showcased in England and Canada on their Remembrance Days. And whereas wearing a poppy will unite citizens from across our blessed nation who are desirous of exhibiting their patriotism for all to see. Now, therefore, be it resolved that Mayor Wilson Edwards, Mayor of Cedar City, do hereby designate May 25th, 2018 as National Poppy Day in our community and encourage all citizens, residents, and visitors in Cedar City to join in observing this day to honor every service member who gave their lives in the name of liberty, freedom, and democracy, while also showing respect and support for living service members and their family. Signed this day, Mayor Wilson. Dennis, would you like to come up? get down there.
Right.
City Councilman Adams, we appreciate giving us some time today. I'm Darren Duncan. I'm the commander of the American Legion, and I'm here with members of the Iron County Veterans Coalition. This Saturday, veterans will be at Cal Ranch, at Walmart, and Smith's and Lynn's, and we will have poppies there. We'll be in uniform there, and we will be asking for donations from the general public and distributing our red poppies in remembrance of our soldiers and other service members that have served our great country. And we appreciate you taking the time to be with us. We will also, the American Legion also sends young men and young women who are juniors in high school from the community to Boys and Girls State to learn about the sacrifice of our service members and about our U.S. government and how it functions. They run for office, and those are taught by veterans, and they have mayors and state representatives that come and talk to these fine young men and women. And they will also be participating this year with us side by side on Saturday. And we encourage our citizens of this great city to come and support us and for these donations that will go to help veterans. Thank you.
Get a picture taken.
Put this down, get it.
Thank you, baby. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
I want to thank them for all that they do and their support, as they mentioned, of the boys' state and girls' state. I was selected to attend that when I was a junior in high school. So I got some good training there to help me in future things in my life. So you could become a council member if you get picked. So encourage your kids. Anyway, thank you again. Okay, we'll see if we have any council business.
I have a question for staff. Anybody can respond. I've had a couple people approach me concerned about where Cove Drive empties onto Highway 56 and getting out into that traffic. Do you know if anything is planned by UDOT for a light there, or because it has become a whole lot busier at that intersection? And
There's been some discussion on that, but there's not been anything concrete that's been decided on that. It is a UDOT road, and so it's up to them if they want to put a light there, and it has to meet certain warrants in order to put a light. There's definitely probably enough traffic on SR 56. The question is there enough traffic on Cove Drive to put a light there?
Okay. So how do we put those wheels in motion? Do we just prod them and?
We meet with them quarterly, and
Okay.
I could call them tomorrow and see if they can start taking a look at that, or we can
Okay.
wait for our next quarterly meeting.
I'd like us to become a little bit of a squeaky wheel in that connection. Thanks.
Okay. Anything else, Paul? You have anything? Okay, staff, do you have any other comments? Any staff members before we move on? Okay. All right. Under our staff comments, though, we are happy to have some new police officers to swear in, and Chief Adams will.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem, Council, and staff. I would like to first begin by inviting Officer Crofts and Officer Danes up. As you know, we've had some turnover, and we have been extremely fortunate to have Tyrell Crofts and Heather Danes join our ranks. We're all excited for these two, and they have worked hard to get here. And so I wanted to have them just come up briefly and introduce themselves and any family that may be here. Once they've concluded with that, we'll have our new corporals come up. So who wants to start?
I'm Tyrell Crofts. Many of you know me. I've worked animal control for the last year for Cedar City Police Department. Happy to be moving over to patrol. My family is all on the back row back there.
Have them stand up. Introduce them.
And over here.
Let's introduce who they are real quick.
Yeah. So just go left to right. Dad, mom, grandma, mother-in-law, Latanya, brother-in-law, my wife, Crystal, sister-in-law, Tawny, father-in-law, Danny Heaton. And happy to be moving to patrol and getting to work.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm Heather Danes. This is my first time working in law enforcement, so I'm really excited about it. The people here are, my mom is here, and my 4 girls. So you guys want to stand up? Okay. So the one in the back, Isabel, she's 14. And then I've got Abby, and then Alexis right here, Olivia, and then my mom's sitting right there, Lynn Clark. So.
Thank you.
So as we have gone through this, obviously we've lost a few, and that has created movement, also in rank advancement. And so I would invite Dane Glazier and Addison Adams to come up as well. They're newly promoted corporals within the department. So I'll ask them to do the same, and then when we've concluded with that, I'll have the 4 come up here and have them sworn in, and then after that we'll do the badge presentation.
Oh boy, right.
Can't take you anywhere.
I'm Dane Glazier with the Cedar City Police Department. I've been a member of the department for 7 years. The last 15 months assigned out to the Iron Garfield Beaver Narcotics Task Force. I didn't bring an entire row of family with me like Tyrell. Brought Olive Valley here. But I do have some friends. Right here, my as of new recent fiance. Many thought it would never happen, but it's happened. Stand up. Lanny. Just some good friends that are around and support. Chad Dotson, Jay Coit, and others on patrol. But other than that, that's what I got. And I guess family. Ron Adams, he's a cousin of mine, so count him in that mix.
Cousin.
I'm Addison Adams. I've been a member of the department for a total of 8 years. I did 3 years in animal control, 5 years on patrol. I have my immediate family with me. My daughter Emily, my son Chris, my wife Dana, and my other son Sean.
If I can have you four just come up and line up. And we're going to have you face Renan here for the swearing in.
So if any of your family members want to come and take photos, come on up. Don't be shy.
Feel free. You can
Come
come.
up,
Just
come up on this side.
Come up wherever you
you'd
need to
like.
be.
Good.
I do solemnly swear that I will support and obey and defend the Constitution of the United States, the Constitution of the State of Utah, that I will discharge the duties of my office with fidelity.
While they're signing those, if we can have those family members come up that are going to be pinning the badge and just assemble right here.
Hopefully you can.
This is where we can draw the lines. Things go wrong.
There you go.
That's. It's called be kind now. Be kind.
Yo. Go from the board.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. We never felt so safe in a city.
Yeah. Thank you, Chief. We appreciate all our police officers and what they do to keep our city a great place to live. Okay.
That thinned out the ranks.
Yeah, that thinned it out, didn't it? Okay, we'll move on to our next part of our agenda with our public agenda. We'd like to begin with public comments. If you have something you would like to bring forward to the council that's not an item on the agenda, we invite you to come up and please state your name and be as brief as possible. Is there anybody that would like to do so? Okay.
May it please the council, Mayor Pro Tem Ron Adams, and staff. My name is Jackie Jackson, and I represent my neighbors on 200 West between 200 South and Shakespeare Lane, a neighborhood zoned R22, and which has previously been granted a historic designation. Last week, without prior notice, the Dixie and Ann Levitt Family Foundation covered the entire backyard of the property located at 156 South, 200 West in Blacktop for the purpose of serving as overflow parking to employees working at the old hospital building. This commercial use of residential property is in direct violation of the permitted usages of a residentially zoned property. Specifically, Section 26-3-5, capital A reads, "Commercial and industrial uses are prohibited from this zone. Even if the blacktop has not yet been used for a commercial or industrial purpose, we ask that the city enforce this zoning provision strictly and place the property owner on notice of their intent to do so." A similar non-residential usage parking lot is planned to be laid within the next month for the Dixie and Ann Levitt Family Foundation owned property located at 122 South, 200 West. We hope that your notice will serve the purpose of halting this action, which would flood our neighborhood with additional unwanted traffic, neighboring vehicular commotion, and it takes away from the appearance of our fine street right there. I also wanted to talk just a moment about those of us that live on that street. I know in speaking with several people, Tyler specifically, that we do talk about people and their ability to use the land that they own. But I also own land there, and I live on the street. These are people who don't live on the street and who are using it for uses other than what it is designed for, which is residential use. So I'm asking you to consider that as we think through this process. Many cities limit the extent of off-street parking in residential neighborhoods. In addition to the allowable parking of recreational vehicles on property, Salt Lake City limits residential parking to a maximum of 4 outdoor parking spaces shall be permitted per lot. Provo, Utah enforces that the total area of all paved parking and access in the rear yard, including detached parking structures, shall not exceed more than 40% of the total rear yard. Logan, Utah requires that parking lots are visually subordinate to primary uses. For these reasons, we ask the city to, 1, enforce the zoning statute presently in place, which prohibits the usage of R22 property for commercial or industrial uses, and 2, articulate an ordinance which would place a maximum cap for off-street parking spaces within a residential zone. So those are the things that we are asking for. I live on the east side. This is particularly affecting the west side, but it also affects my street. And my street is busy right now. There is construction going on down at the base of it, right there above Shakespeare to its south, with a 52 unit structure. And first and foremost, I love Cedar City. I love where I live. I picked this place by design. I picked living right where I live by design. My house is 107 years old. I want it to remain intact, but I'll tell you, when all the pounding goes on, we all get a pretty bit shaky on the street. It is a historical area. It's a beautiful area. It is close to the university. I teach at the university. I worked there and have for many years. I love that I can walk and have access to all of those things. The Shakespeare is right there in my backyard, and I live with that. Consequently, I love the arts as well. I do many things for Cedar City, which I love, and I'm involved heavily in the arts. But I also want to have a place of solace and a place of peace to go to at the end of the day, so to speak. I'm asking for those things, and I'm asking you to respect the rights of those who do own property and actually live within, right on that street. I've spoken with Ron about this. I have spoken heavily with Scott Phillips, and he is not here, but has offered his support. So I want to throw that in. Judy is also going to speak, because the parking, the blacktop that was laid comes within about 5 inches of her fence. So she's going to speak as well.
I'm just wondering if there's any way I can put any pictures up? No? With this? on there? No, it won't work?
Do you have a USB?
I do.
See the gentleman.
See if we can.
Oh, it's still going. Because I can begin and then, that's what I want to see, the one right there.
It's on something.
The video.
Would you state your name for the record?
I'm Judy Higbee. I live at 142 South, 200 West, here in beautiful downtown Cedar City. Jackie kind of covered most of it, but I just want to tell you, came back from a 3-week vacation to a big surprise with no advance notice, no neighborly letter, no knock on my door saying we're going to pave your next door with 60 car parking lot. And more than anything, I wasn't as angry as I was kind of sick because I was really felt very disrespected. So that's my emotional part of it. But the reality is, a group of us who live on that street worked very hard to rezone. And some of you were here during that time back in I think it was 13. Yeah, 2013. And we kind of hoped maybe we'd settle the issue. But it seems to me we did not. And there just seems not to be an opportunity to do anything about it. And I see it's like dominoes. Now, maybe you think that's maybe what should happen here because of the expansion of the university. And maybe some of you believe that that's how it should be. But there was also a study done and a certification by the National Park Service to take the area bounded roughly by 100 West, 300 West, College Avenue, and 400 South, and make that somewhat part of the historic district, including the downtown area. And I know there's no legal ramifications for that. I know that because I've been involved with historic districts before. But I thought part of the reason was that there would be some consideration and respect that we want to preserve something in this town that our forefathers put together, that our children and our grandchildren can look back and say, hey, this little section here, this is where it all began. This is where it all started. So I don't know. To me, that's very important, but I don't know how you all feel about that. So that's my consideration. And I don't know why we're not getting any action here because I would like to show you this short video. Is it not coming up?
No, it's not coming up.
Is there any reason?
No, it says it's there, but it's not coming up.
Pardon? No?
No.
Not gonna do it. So I would like to show you visually what I'm looking at when I get up in the morning and when I go out in my backyard. And basically, they took down 2 huge trees that really kind of gave me some privacy in my backyard. Now, I'm going to have 60 plus cars coming in and out of there pretty much all day long. Headlights, which already come from 300 to the couple rentals over there, shining into my bedroom. I actually have a total invasion of my privacy. And I can't grow 2 elm trees in the next 5 years. So my consideration is we need, and then I understand he also is planning on putting a parking lot 2 doors down in the whole back. So I don't know how he's planning on accessing this other than a lot more traffic on our street. And otherwise he has to go through property that belongs to the power company. Yeah.
That little device right there is a laser pointer.
Oh, you want
Can
to,
you see your house up there? Could you point?
Oh,
to your
yeah.
house? The little, there you go, that little button.
that little, there. Okay, so this is where the church was. 1, 2, 3. This is me right here. No, this is me right here. The parking lot goes from here to here, from there to there. And the other parking lot that's coming is going to go here to here and here to here. And right now, the access to this parking is between this house and this house right here. This is my back lot, so right between here. And it's going to come in and out. It's a
Well, the parking, there's
two
parking already on 300 behind the house.
Yeah, well, there's
And
parking.
he's made kind of a quasi through street right there.
Access,
There's
which-
access both ways. So I really want strong language to limit that because it will be absolutely a zoo.
Yeah.
And the other
Here's-
one is.
Yeah, this is my
sort of
this
the
is my
same.
house, right, with
Yeah.
the garage?
Mhm.
Yeah. So, yeah.
That's your garden spot.
And that's my garden. And he actually proposed wanting to do it in my backyard of all kinds of, I mean, you talk about courage or I don't know what it is. But anyway, that's what we're dealing with. And then we're going to have access to that is going to be this way and that way. So we're going to have a lot more traffic on our street. So my request to you is to really seriously consider priorities. And I know the university has their priorities, and I know Dixie Levitt has his commitment to the university, which I appreciate and I admire, but at the cost of what? So, do you think? Thank you.
Okay.
Do you have questions or?
The ordinances you referenced, did you look at those primarily due to their connection with College Town or?
This is the.
Just kind of, those were the
I
three
just-
cities you grabbed.
I just looked up those cities and grabbed those. That's all. I didn't.
Okay.
And maybe I'm totally a flake on that. I don't know.
No, just curious.
Yeah, no, I just looked those up, figured out parking. I don't know how close those are to any of, like the University of Utah, to BYU or UVU. I don't know how close those are in proximity, those particular zoning.
Tools, okay.
So
Thanks. Just curious.
Yeah.
don't think I'm done like this. I don't know everything. Sorry.
Well, we did have legal advice before we came here,
Yeah.
so, and we plan to have more legal advice if we need it. So, thank you all.
Kit, what are the driveway requirements on? That was a question that I
Well,
had.
if it's a one-way drive, if they've got a driveway on one side of their lot and then coming in, driveway going out on the other side of their lot, it's 14 feet. If it's a two-way drive, it's going to be 24 feet wide.
But it's on 2 different properties.
Yeah,
well, then
It's not on one property.
yeah, I'm not sure. Those parking lots going to be combined on 2 different properties? Is it going to be one?
I don't know. He
parking
hasn't
lot?
paid the other one because I don't think he has title yet. I think the
Well,
church has
the
title. so-
LDS Church owns the corner, and then it owns the Gray House.
House next door.
171 is owned by Bruce and Debbie Stevenson out of
Yeah.
California.
Right here.
Then
This
you
one.
have 166, which is owned by the LDS Church. The LDS Church's footprint goes all the way from the corner here, the parking lot, and it goes on 300 West. It goes down 2 houses, I believe.
Yeah.
Those have been promised by Dixie Levitt to the LDS Church. And I spoke with Alan Jones at length yesterday. Those are still promised, and those will go to that when the LDS Church is ready to build another chapel or structure that they are wanting to build at that point. The church has changed their building procedures to a little different thing to where they have many wards in a building rather than what we used to have was a traditional 2-ward to a building. They have changed that. That footprint is what the church would like, and that's what they have been promised.
Right.
So Dixie, or the Dixie and Ann Levitt Foundation, could not go in on the 166 property. They've leveled it and cleared the trees, but they can't pave it.
Okay.
They use it for a rental through the foundation.
Which one did they pave? I'm a little.
Okay, let's see, that's one.
Right.
This is my house, so it's right here, from here back,
It's all the way through.
Through.
all the way
Yeah.
through.
And you're
And then
saying,
there's a parking lot here, and they're going right through here. And then he's also purchased this one, because he can access this. So that's what we have.
He doesn't have the property on 300 West yet and I know the Jones family, there's 2 Jones families, one on the corner, Joe Jones, if you remember Joe, you would maybe remember her. Joe Jones, and then I think it's her brother's property. Those 2 properties, the Jones family does not want to sell. He's approached others for the back third of their property. Now, I would not be opposed in our thought process if he wants to buy those thirds going forward with that, because I know on the master plan for the university, we are looking at student housing on 300 West on that side. Now, that may not ever come to fruition, but it may. But if you go ahead and purchase those back thirds on those properties, then it would be, at least I think, beneficial to our area if there was fencing put up so that there's not a way to have access roads through there.
So I know this won't alleviate all your concerns, but since we have spoken, I've looked into it and I've seen the plans. There is an elevation drop between the 2
Yes.
parking lots, so it won't be a through street. There's no plan for that.
But
And
on
then-
on the one, Mr. Romerow, it's not an elevation drop. On the one that's already done, it's straight on through.
Plans that Mr. Jackson showed me showed that there's an elevation change and they didn't plan on doing a through street.
There is on Judy's, there's an elevation change, but up to that property, there's not.
The other thing I looked into is how many parking stalls, and it would be 32. They have
With the other side as well on 300 West, does that combine? Because they're
Just-
kind of one big lot now.
just the addition
timing.
behind that home that shows still in grass, that was 32.
It's still though for industrial or commercial use. Because he's intending to use that for
And we differ on that,
employees.
right? I have a different opinion of that, but your concerns are valid.
What can we do?
Well, if you'd like, I can send an email out to the entire city council tomorrow
Okay.
stating your concerns, and then I can go through how our ordinance currently reads. And I can provide them with a few suggestions on different avenues they could take.
And what do you guys think?
Yeah, we need to dig into the ordinance a little. That was my biggest concern, like when we talked. Because I mean, if he's going to access both streets, that's what I have a question on, whether he, can go through 2 lots on 2 different streets. And I think that we need to look into that, because I remember one on 450 years ago that we had some issues on, and the driveway wasn't wide enough, to be doing a circular roundabout through from wherever. And that's what triggered it when we were talking.
Yeah.
I dug that out of the back of my rusty brain somewhere from many years ago. And so we'll look into that too, and see what, how that fits.
The other consideration too is that where the pavement is, and where my house is, if we have some hard rains, I get flooded.
And there's no, he hasn't
Just
created
total
any
runoff in the asphalt.
runoff thing in the back.
Has he sloped it?
No.
Yeah, it's like
Would it
this.
change your concerns if the parking was used to park people for church on Sunday?
Well,
Your
we
churches and
already said the
residential
ordinance.
neighborhoods all over the place with large parking lots.
I'm not as opposed to that because it's 1 or 2 days a week more than, this is gonna be a constant din Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday.
So
And
it's the frequency and the congestion.
the frequency and yes, and at night. I kind of, it's kind of intrusive. Well, not kind of, it is intrusive. I will just say
I wish I could show you
it's,
that picture because it's just like you walk out, my house sets up as it's high on a foundation. And as I look out, it's just a sea of asphalt. I can't even see my flowers anymore.
I got it. I sent it to myself. So.
is there any way to do a study of the street, like as far as traffic is concerned? We have during the school year, you cannot, it is crazy because students are trawling the street trying to get a parking spot so they can run over to school. And then
my deck is right
during
there.
Shakespeare,
And this is
you have them until 11:30 at night, and then they hit their alarm,
Just press the wrong button.
yeah, and it goes bang, wham. And so anyway, it's intrusive, and there's a lot of things that 22 years ago when I purchased the home obviously weren't there. It wasn't this crazy. It's just gotten crazier as the time is going. This adds, if you even add 30 more cars though to that mix, you're adding a whole other element of just busy onto that street. 200 West, that's a short street, and then at the bottom it's a one-way. You can only go to the left because we determined that when we did the rezoning. We determined that we wanted it to stay one way. College Ave was that, and that was one of the things that we talked about at length. Do we want it? And then is what has happened too is Shakespeare parks on all of those spaces right there are angle parking. So you really have a small access through that particular road.
It's one way, right?
It is one way, and it goes only to the west.
Correct.
Yeah.
So you can only access that.
They allow parking on the south side of the road too, with the angled, is it?
No.
It's only, no, it's on the north side.
On
The
the
parking
north.
is on the
angled parking is
north.
on the north, but do they allow parallel
No.
parking?
No.
No, you would not be able to get through.
Yeah.
totally blocked. And if any, large vehicles park there, you would have really problem with emergency access.
Well, and sometimes Shakespeare big vehicles will come and park right under our
For
trees.
deliveries and things.
Yeah, the workmen from the thing that's going in down at the bottom of the street, they park there, bless their hearts. They want the shade too. We have those great shade trees. But it's like that little song. I was going to sing for you.
Do it. Come on. You got
They
it.
paved paradise, put up a parking lot. And the bottom part of that song is, don't you always seem to know that you don't know what you got till it's gone? That's it.
Yeah.
And, it was the old crows that did that.
The people that are going to park in that lot, where are they parking now?
On the top half of 200 West, all over the street.
Okay. Would this not alleviate some of that street parking? Having this
No,
lot?
because then you will have students come in and take whatever is not taken. I promise. If you come and watch the people troll that area and they just go up and down and look and try to get in. And I mean, I call the city police probably 3 times a year to come, and there's people in my driveway. We've had a study to have privatized residential parking. We did have a study maybe 4 years ago. We didn't get it. we can try again, I guess, for that kind of thing. Maybe that would be a solution for us that would help us. We're just looking for some help. I'm not trying to be.
Yeah, because the
pain,
situation is out of hand, I think.
Yeah.
And it's like dominoes. You ever play the domino, not the real domino game, but where you set dominoes up in a row as a kid and you push the first one and everything went down? That's what we got here. And we're right in the middle of that little game.
The other thing is, I think there's a safety issue. You have people that are trying to get to class. I know how it is. I'm always trying to get over there in record time. And sometimes I drive and sometimes I walk, but I'm guaranteed a parking spot over by my building. So I
have a safety issue because I live in the house next door to these 65 cars of strange people, and I have a white picket fence. That's very easy to get over. So it's not a very secure backyard anymore. Maybe I need to get a Great Dane.
Maybe. Don't get more than 2 dogs.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know.
Another story.
That's just an old topic.
Yeah.
Anyway, I have a great porch. If you want to come and sit for the afternoon, you can come and see kind of what's going on. I'll serve you some lemonade. I will do anything. I would just like you to come and see. It's a beautiful area of town. It's wonderful. I don't want my house to lose value so much that I can't sell it and recoup anything. Kit knows, he's lived over there by us. So anyway.
Thank you.
All right, thanks. We'll check into it and see what we can come up with.
All right.
So what should we do next? Tell us, because
pray.
Pray.
If you'd like to get in touch with me before the end of the month.
Okay.
And that'll give us some time to talk back and forth, and I'll take it to the department heads.
Okay.
See what their suggestion is. And
We
see
just
if we
want
get
it tightened
staff on the
up
same
for a little protection. And Kid has the video that I was unable to show you all.
Oh, he has it. Oh, good.
He has it. Thank you.
There's also 5 gorgeous hawks that live
yeah, we
back
have
in
a
that
wildlife
area.
refuge
They're
there.
gorgeous.
They're going to lead.
They kill mice and squirrels in that area. They are wonderful
Baby
to watch.
hawks. It's a wildlife.
Yeah,
It's no one.
We didn't look at hawks. All right, thank you. Okay, is there anybody else that would like to address the council? Okay. If not, we'll move into our business agenda. Welcome, Councilwoman Hartley. We're glad you made it.
Thank you.
After your long day.
Yes.
Under our public section, the first item of business is to consider a request for a single event permit on June the 9th for the Elks Horseshoe Tournament. Candace?
Hi, council and staff. I'm Candace Howes with the Elks Lodge. And it's that time of year again. We're going to try and do some horseshoes and make some money so we can buy some shoes for Shop with Cop and needy kids in the area come December.
How long have you been doing this? How long have you been doing this?
I think 4 or 5 years.
Okay.
We try and do 2 a year.
Okay.
Any questions, concerns?
I don't think so.
Pretty standard.
Yeah, pretty standard at this point.
Okay.
Thanks for what you do.
Yeah, put that on consent.
I think, just so you know, I think we did 105 pairs of shoes last year between Shop with the
Great.
Cop and the Crisis Center.
Great.
Good.
So,
Wonderful.
all right. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Candace. Okay, item number 2 is a public hearing to consider a general land use amendment from low-density residential to medium-density residential on property located in the vicinity of 200 North and 2800 West.
Touch that.
And welcome.
It'll fall apart. Heath Ovison, Go Civil. Last year, we came in, this is right across the street from the Diamond Z Arena there. This is the Burgess subdivision. It's already in place. We came in and we rezoned the front portion of this to do an R2-1 so that instead of doing 10,000 square foot lots, we could do 7,500 square foot lots here in this area. We've dressed the front with a wall to match this area down here and widen that road out. And this has sold exceptionally well. We did do a portion right there that was an R2-2, so they could do a few 2-level duplexes there, try and help block some of the view and the noise from the existing manufacturing right there. This subdivision has done so well that they'd like to come back in and zone this area here to an R21 as well. They want to do a little bit bigger lots this time. They want to bump it up to about 8,500 square feet. But that's still below the 10,000 square foot requirement that a regular R1 zoning requires. So that's our purpose and intent.
Does that go up the hill a bit, or is that?
The hill actually starts right about here where you see the difference
That's the
between
ridge, or is
sagebrush
that
and
where it starts
trees.
going up?
So it really starts going uphill right there. The whole thing slopes towards Cross Hollow, but this is where the steep hill really starts. Now, in order to develop that steep hill, we're going to have to do some much bigger lots up there based on the grade. We're going to leave that alone, but come in here and do this 8,500 square feet right here at that location.
Does he own that property as well?
He does. He owns, Mr. Coronado owns the property all the way to that line right there and all the way back down. It constitutes about 80 acres.
So are those lot sizes the same as those south of them?
These lot sizes down here are pretty small. They're about 6,000 square foot, I think. These ones right here get a little bit bigger. Okay. They're pretty comparable, I thought, to what we had right here.
That's an R1 area.
Is this R1 right there? Okay, so this would be about 10,000 square feet. These are being significantly smaller than that. And what we'd like to do is about 8,500 right here. So it's between the two, effectively.
This came before the planning commission, was given a positive recommendation.
Okay, any other comments or questions?
It's a nice looking development.
Yeah.
It sure filled up fast, didn't it?
It did.
They dressed the front up so it looks pretty good from the street. The intent is to do the next portion in similar fashion. So.
Okay. All right, this being a public hearing, we'll open it. If anybody in the tenants would like to speak on this. Okay, seeing none, we'll close the public hearing. And we'll move on to item 3, which is a public hearing to consider a zone change from R1 residential to R2-1 residential on the property located in the vicinity of 200 North and 2800 West.
Now, I might have mentioned before that the reason we have to do the general land use amendment is because the general land use still shows that as an R low density or an R1. So in order to go to 8,500 square feet, we've got to amend the general plan first and then do the zone change.
Okay, any further questions on that at all?
Kit, you don't see any problem with like traffic and whatnot? There's enough ingress, egress out of
Yeah,
there?
no, there's good ingress and egress. They've got,
Okay.
what, 55-foot streets going in, 2 55-foot streets going into the.
We've actually got
development.
3 streets that come into the development off Cross Hollow Road, which is a 100-foot right of way or an arterial right of way. And then as we finish the thing at some point in the future, that'll also connect to the road that stubs in from the east right now at the top of that hill.
Oh, okay.
So those developments could interconnect traffic wise. So there's a lot of access there.
Okay, thanks.
The cold, let's see, or Meadow Street, right?
I believe so. Yeah, it's right there.
Yeah. It's
It comes out here and stops right there at the property. Now there's a 2-track roughed in right there because the sewer comes off the hill right there, right down through the development, ties into the main sewer line that's existing right there. So there's some utilities and some things there already, but we've already done the storm drain master plan for the entire property here is developed and run large storm drain up into there to take care of that. The utilities and access and things should all be pretty well thought out.
What's our minimum lot size in R21?
R21, 7,000 square feet.
Okay, so you guys are saying 80. Well, you want to do 85, but we allow 7,000.
7,500 on this portion right there, and the intent was to loosen that up as we go up the hill before we get to the big stuff on the hillside. And so they're finding that although those lots really sold well and fast, kind of amazing fast, that some of the interest up there is for a little bit bigger. So our layout right now, which we'll be bringing after the zone change is done to Planning Commission and City Council on vicinity plan, shows about 8,500 square feet per lot. Some of them are a little bit bigger. But there's only so many ways you can geometrically carve a square. That is my problem. Yes.
Divvy things up.
So.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. We'd like to open this as a public hearing also. If there's anybody that would like to address this item, come forward. Seeing none, we'll close the public hearing. Oh,
because he's doing it?
no.
Okay, never mind.
You can say whatever you want.
Yeah. Okay, we'll move on to item number 4, which is a public hearing to consider a general land use amendment from medium density residential to high density residential on property located in the vicinity of 829 South Spruce Street.
Mr. Platt involved.
Platt, you know me. Okay, we have a picture.
I'm trying to get up.
This is behind Dairy Queen.
Yeah, this is just
It's a small
just
piece of
east of-
ground
yeah.
that is R3, and adjacent to it is a small vacant parcel that's R3, and then there's a small vacant parcel that's R2. I sure like to have a picture.
We got it.
Well, it's worth 1,000 words, not.
You didn't want to do 1,000 words?
Nope. Okay. This right here, here's Dairy Queen's right over here. So this is Paradise Canyon Road, and this is Spruce Street. This is R3 right there, R3M. And as you can see, frankly, the development at R3M is basically impossible. It's just too narrow and everything. This is R2. The property owner owns this parcel, and the request is to make this R3M. And basically what it boils down to is with the zone change, right now we could put a twin home right here and it would work. But with the general plan and zone change, you could put a fourplex here and make it work with the parking. So that's really all what we're talking about. This to get a positive recommendation from the Planning Commission.
Okay. Any comments, questions? Okay. All right, we'll open this as a public hearing also. If anybody would like to address council on this item, come forward. Okay, seeing none, we'll close the public hearing. Move on to item number 5, which is a public hearing to consider a zone change from R22 to R3M residential on the property located in the vicinity of 829 South Spruce.
Say anything
Bob?
further?
Same piece of property.
Now we're going from the general plan amendment
to the zone change. Yeah. Any questions, comments from anybody? Come up to the mic and state your name and ask your question.
Why can't you just answer it?
Because we need to have you on the record. We record this. So if you'd come up and state your name and ask the question. Okay. I know who you are, but I don't know if everybody else does. Okay. I think you were asking about doing 2 different things, but we're not doing 2 different things. We're changing the land use and the zoning, so it's all the same zone. Okay. All right. We'll open it though as a public hearing for anybody that would like to make any comments. You're welcome to come forward and address it. Okay. Seeing none, we'll close the public hearing. Okay. We'll go to item number 6, which is a public hearing to consider a general land use amendment from medium density residential to high density residential on a property located in the vicinity of 4400 West and SR 56. Is any Burgess is here, or Tyler, your name's tagged. Do you have information on that?
Well, I'll tell you to the best of my memory. So this is some property out west on State Road 56. Burgess owns quite a few acres out there, I think a few hundred. What he's wanting to do is right now it's medium density residential, and he's wanting to change that to high density residential. The purpose of this, I think, is just to give them a little more flexibility from where it's currently zoned. I believe he went through this process a few years ago, but as the market's changed, so is the demand, and I believe that's why he's wanting to make this change.
At one point in time, we had a development agreement that covered this property and probably another 300 acres.
Yeah.
It was about a 400 acre development agreement.
Yeah, we did.
That's since lapsed, and the agreement was with a whole different company. They've since gone. The property is now owned by Windmill. We don't even have the ordinance in place anymore to do those development agreements. So we probably need to rethink and redo the zoning and the planning to make sure that there's some use out of that property.
Okay. Any other questions or comments? Okay, we'll open this as a public hearing. Anybody like to comment on this from the public? Seeing none, we'll close the public hearing and move on to.
Ron, I had a question.
Go ahead, Terry.
Well, in the planning commission minutes, aren't they changing it to 3 different zones? Not all just high density.
Right.
Yeah, so that the zone is number 7. Number 6 is just the general land.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, gotcha. Okay.
Yeah, it's kind of cool.
Central commercial.
You're right, yeah.
Mixed use.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay, so item number 7 then is to the public hearing to consider a zone change from the master planned development to central commercial on property located in the vicinity of 4400 West SR 56.
And that also should include a mixed use portion as well. So right now, this land is currently zoned master plan development, MPD zone. That doesn't exist anymore on the books. So they're wanting to come in and officially rezone it. There'll be a section, I believe, closer to the State Road 56 that'll be commercial. There'll be a section after that that'll go into mixed use to give them some flexibility there.
Okay, any other comments, questions? Okay, if not, we'll open this then as a public hearing for anybody that would like to address the council. You're welcome to come forward.
Some central
Seeing none, we'll close the public hearing and we'll move on to item number 8, which is to consider allowing Park Discovery to stay open late on May 26th and June 9th in order to show films for the Red Rock Film Festival. And Matt Rexon, how do you say your last name?
So I'm not Matt.
Oh, you're not?
No. Hi.
Imagine that.
I know. Shocking.
Okay.
So that's Matt Markstein. He is the founder of the Red Rock Film Festival. It's been around for about 12 years, and I am the kind of house project manager who stays local because he lives out of state in Washington. And I've been volunteering there for about 4 years now. So yeah, he just kind of wants to get the approval for us to use that amphitheater to show that film on the 26th of May. We would need the park to stay open between 9 and 11 p.m. and then just for a little bit longer after that so we can take everything down.
Okay. So we don't have anybody here from Parks, do we?
No.
What, you know what types of, what film?
It's a documentary film about this guy who was a motocross biker competitively, and I think it was about 1993. He got in a accident on his bike and became quadriplegic, and he has now kind of through this whole therapeutic process retrained himself to walk after they told him he wouldn't be able to. And his big thing, so he just pushes himself to do these extreme sports and show how far you can do with like determination, that he does a 20-mile walk across Death Valley. So that's kind of just what the film is. And we the runtime of that film is 1 hour and 30-ish minutes, about between 1:30 and 1:45. So we would start at 9 because we want to do it outside. We think it would be really interesting to add that type of outdoor element to a movie that takes place outdoors, kind of also in a desert where we live in a desert. So
You really don't have any neighbors close by there.
This is all the way across. You have to go through the school district building.
Yeah, through the aquatic center.
Yeah.
Chief, what do you think?
Yeah, any safety
Who's going to be
concerns?
your audience, and like how many people are we talking?
Usually to events like this, we get about 10 to 20 people. So it would be relatively small. But we just want to have this really fun environment because it used to be a much more popular event, but in recent years, the attendance has been decreasing. So we're looking for ways to kind of spice it up and bring it back to life so that we can get more involvement with the community because we love it here. So, yeah.
Darren Adams with the police department. I don't see an issue with this where it's located. If we get a noise complaint, we're usually good to go up and address that. But as long as it's not 150, 200 people, I don't think it'll be a problem.
Okay.
So do they get a special event permit, or how do, or do
They've
we
already
just
put in for an
approve it?
event permit.
What?
They've already put in for an event permit. The only reason it's before the council is
Because it's after
Because it's
hours?
late.
yeah,
Okay.
after closing
All right.
time.
Oh, my name's Phoebe Bach.
So do we have any issues, Tyler, on keeping it open late if we have an event permit? Okay.
Cool.
All
Awesome.
right.
Thank you.
Okay. I keep forgetting to put all this stuff on consent. Are you,
what I was gonna
are you
ask
putting
you.
it all on consent or on? I thought I'd try. Yeah, I know. The rest of them got to go on action with all that ordinance changes.
Phoebe, you do understand it. It has to be approved next week, right? Okay. Okay.
Because Matt does live in Washington, he told me like 4 days ago on Friday, like, oh yeah, you have to do this. Here I am.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, we'll move into the staff portion of our agenda. Item number 9 is to consider a property donation to the city, 61.68 acres, 8 miles east up Cedar Canyon near Martin's Flat.
Okay, this is the aerial of the area where we've been offered a donation. It's these two parcels right here. It's about 60 acres combined. This is the slide area where SR 14 slid off 6 or 8 years ago. And there's a piece of city-owned property over here, the Martin's Flat property. We do have a well that is not in use at this time, located on this property. These two properties are very steep, coming from the Coal Creek Channel in the bottom to the top of this property is about 300 to 400 feet of elevation difference, and this one's 500 or 600 feet of elevation difference. So not a whole lot of uses that we can see in these properties. I don't know, maybe Parks and Recreation could have a rappelling class or something like that up there, but
hey, good idea.
Giant zip line.
Did go through Planning Commission last night and received a positive recommendation for accepting the donation. Not sure if anybody else has any other concerns about the city owning those or not. I'm sure he's just doing it probably for a tax write-off or something.
Yeah, it's giving somebody a tax deduction.
Yeah.
For us, as long as it doesn't cost us something to maintain it. When we talked about this at Planning Commission, we couldn't see an upside or a downside. The upside is, I guess, we own more property, but what that gets us, I'm not sure. But
that's kind of how staff felt when we talked about it too. It's like,
yeah.
What's the property between that? Who owns that? Yeah. Between the two parcels.
I'm not really sure. I'd have to look at the ownership, so I
That's
didn't
okay.
really check that out.
Yeah. So I mean, I don't see any huge issues either way, but
never hurts to have more property.
No.
Yeah. Okay. Put that one on. We'll take what we can get.
That's right.
Okay. Item number 10 is to consider the filing of an eminent domain action on property owned by Catherine Slack and Christine Emily located along the west side of the Cedar Valley. Tyler and Trevor, you're going to pitch in on this too? Okay.
So just as, I guess, to review, the city has a master plan sewer line that is located here in West Cedar Valley. The purpose of it and why the need is kind of coming to a head here is because of all the growth that's happening on this side of the city. So about a year ago, Trevor had started sending letters and reaching out to property owners that follow along this line of where this sewer line is proposed to go. All of the property owners have verbally given agreement, except for there was two. Mr. McDonald and I sat down with one of the owners, and I can't recall his name, but we were able to work out some terms on that. Was it
Trevor McDonald, City Engineering? I've got a sore throat. I didn't want to talk. But it was Dean Lambro was the other one, but I think he's come to terms with us.
So with this line, that leaves the city 330 feet short of completing it. We respect and we understand private property rights. We've tried to reach out to Miss Slack, and we've talked to her husband. We talked to Mr. Burns, who I don't know if he officially represented her, but at least he had some negotiations there. And we haven't really been able to communicate, to at least talk about the concerns and how the city can alleviate them. We've presented to the city council 3 different options. Instead of doing an eminent domain action to go across this property. So option 1, I'll just go through these for the record. So option 1 is going through Miss Slack's property. That's going to cost the city essentially $3.6 million for this entire line. But it's going to save the city a little over $80,000 annually because it's going to eliminate some of the lift stations. Through kind of word of mouth, and through an email that I received from Ms. Slack, she suggested going around the property. We worked out that cost. In order to complete this project and immediately go around the property, it would cost the city approximately $4.5 million. That would add another pump house. It would add an electrical bill. That alone would cost the city, we're projecting around $30,000 a year. So there would be, that's over $1 million, at least that first year, just to put it in. The third option we gave the city council was starting to run west further south and then coming straight up. I believe it's 4,500 west. And it would go around the Slack property as well. In order to complete that project from beginning to end, it's $4.9 million. Plus again an additional pump house.
So
as the
2 pump house.
Yeah.
Okay.
As the council's aware, the city's really trying to eliminate these pump houses because of cost and liability. The pump house goes down, sewage backs up, it goes into an individual's basement, and we're liable for that. So those are the options that we've presented. I will state that the city, if the council decides to move forward with this eminent domain action, and if the court were to grant it, which my reading of the statute would say they would, it's just a matter of time and making sure we give notice and checking all the boxes. We can put that line across the Slacks property completely underground. Any sort of manhole could be, because of its width, we could place them on outside of their property lines on both sides. We could bury it deep enough that if they choose to run a plow or disc over it, they're not going to be at risk at injuring any equipment. I think we can put it, was it 6 feet?
Yeah, we could go deeper than 4 feet.
Deeper than 4 feet.
So what kind of compensation do you generally give a landowner for running a land across your property?
What kind of compensation?
Typically do you give them?
Well, it kind of depends on what they are interested in. Mr. Lamrell is interested on just slightly moving it to go down his property line to give him some access. So when he develops it, he's going to save a lot of money because that sewer line's already in place. For him, if I remember right, that was essentially
what's the value to you?
Yeah, on some properties, they wanted an appraisal done and just get fair market value for it. I think ombudsman minimum requirements during this process, I think that's what they would require in here as well, if I'm not mistaken. It's just.
I will state that, the city's not wanting to do this for free. So we're willing to pay just compensation to these owners as this pipe goes in. We just haven't been able to sit down and talk about that.
Are they willing to talk? Or Terry, I read the minutes where you, or the notes where you talked to the Slacks.
Yeah, and she wasn't wanting to sit down and talk. She is here tonight, so I don't know if you want to speak at all, Kathy, or.
I can briefly. I'm co-owner of farm property west of Cedar City. It's been our family for generations. And we're operating that farm and plan to continue to operate it as a farm. Pardon me. We have no plans to develop it. And I'm aware of issues affiliated with sewer lines across property. I've worked with it in my job for a lot of years, over 20. So I do ask that you go around our property. I don't want to negotiate a sewer line across our property. Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. Okay, any other comments or questions? No, we'll put this on the action so we can discuss it. Okay, I'll
Make a
entertain
motion to adjourn.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Mark, come here.
I just don't see the harms.
Oh, no, you're good. I'll keep you any later. Hey, Mark.